I bet that if you're pushing play on this episode, you're interested in reducing toxins in your life. Curious how you can have a low-tox home. And if you have kids, you really want to know how to get your kids to buy into this lifestyle. That's why I asked Warren Phillips to join me on the show. I've been learning from him on social media, and he is passionate about this topic. I had to know where all that passion comes from and how he keeps at it after 15 years on this journey. Come to find out, Warren has a background in science and environmental studies, but had some major health challenges due to environmental toxins at his job. My favorite part of this episode is how he shares so vulnerably about the challenges that he faced then and the ones that he still faces today. We talk about getting our kids on board with this mission, and that's what it's all about. Not just making our current lives better, but making things better for future generations. You'll walk away with wisdom on where to start or take your next step on your low-tox living journey. And you'll hear the heart behind the non-toxic dad. Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Meredith. I've led my family on a transformative health journey for over a decade, and now I help other families do the same. This is a place where busy moms can learn about healthy living. I hope that what you learn here helps you feel empowered to take the next step in your family's health journey. Warren, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's an honor to share with your community.
Yeah, I have followed you for quite a while on Instagram. I mean, you talk about so many different things, and I have learned a lot from you. I think you are educating people really well, but I don't know a lot of your background, so I would love to know how you got started on this low-tox journey.
Well, out of necessity, like most of us, we have a tragic happening in our life, whether it's our own sickness, the passing of a loved one, emotional, people that get into helping people with marriages had a bad marriage. And, from that, learning from that negative energy, relabeling it is something positive. And I'm no different than that. I was raised in reduce, recycle, reuse generation, wanted to get a job and have kids and go hunting and fishing, with my best friends, with the pyramid of cans and the pale moonlight kind of country boy.
I love it.
And looks like I had different plans, than my country lifestyle. But I went on to graduate school after going to undergrad double majored in geology, environmental science. With a chemistry degree, I went on to get my master's at University of Montana in geology, where I studied low temperature aqueous geochemistry. And I got a job in Missoula, Montana, because I love fly fishing, and it was hard to get a job there because there's people with PhDs working in McDonald's. Like, there's just not a lot of jobs, 40,000 people. So I got a job in environmental consulting for $12 an hour, and with my master's degree, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But started cleaning up hazardous waste. And in that process, over time, I had some physical traumas in there. I had like a whiplash accident, did some mercuric oxide, heavy metal cleanup, abandoned mine cleanup, copper mines, gold mines, things like that.
Wow.
Turn of the century mines, clean up the waste. When you dig this stuff up, it oxidizes the ore material, and then it releases heavy metals in the environment. So we were cleaning up a lot of heavy metals. My master's work was I'm from eastern Montana, where we looked at the binding of heavy metals in pit lakes. So a lot of things around heavy metals, and then obviously being around heavy metals for all those years, working with the EPA, the U.S. Forest Service, the Montana Bureau of Mines and Geology, the Bureau of Land Management. Like, I was a big player in a small pond there, and had a lot of fun, but I also got exposed to a lot of toxins, doing a lot of underground storage tanks, which a lot of volatile organic compounds. That's why I know benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, xylene. That's why I know all these things are toxic, because we were poisoning the world with them. But what I found after I got sick, not only was I getting poisoned myself from my job, but the vinyl curtain in my shower smells just like the stuff in the underground storage tank, right?
All the light bulbs started to go off.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'm getting poisoned. It took me a while, right, to figure it out that it was toxicity. But I left Montana with debilitating symptoms. I couldn't work anymore. The anxiety was so great. You go to I even went to a chiropractor there trying to get help. But he wasn't trained in detoxification, which is what I later did, is train doctors, because the doctors I were going to, even the more natural doctors, didn't know what to do with me back in 2004, 2005. Shoot, I just found another through a podcast that I did. I just launched my own podcast. It's going to be probably called Non-Toxic Living. Don't quote me on that, but I just shot 47 podcasts with 3 camera shoots, like this.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This is a real movement we're all trying to create.
Yeah.
My mom got cancer in 2004 as well. So, and when I put that connection, I started to cry, because I know so many of us squish our toxic emotions deep, into our unconscious mind, or deep into into the places we don't have to remember anymore. But that was just probably 2 weeks ago that I put that connection together. So these emotional traumas, these chemical traumas, all these things made me very sick. Chasing the medical treadmill, 10 different doctors, 50 different doctor visits, from physiatrists, physical therapists, because I had chronic pain, back and neck pain, obviously psychotherapists because of the extreme anxiety, and medical doctors, weight gain for the pain as well. Went to our local medical doctor in Evans City, where my mom would go. We're talking 4,000 people in this town. And, he takes you in, you get your weight measured, you sit on there, and,
Cuff.
yeah, blood pressure cuff, heart rate, and, basic blood panel, you're fine, nothing wrong with you. Here's Effexor and some pain meds, take those. You go back a month later, how you feeling? Quit the pain meds. They didn't work at all. Still had to wear a donut. Remember those donuts? I don't know how old you are. I don't know if they still sell those, but the donut around your neck, if you have a whiplash accident. But I couldn't move my neck at night because of the inflammation in my neck and upper back was so bad. And I was a country boy, but I couldn't go hunting because I didn't have the energy. If I would even go for a walk, it would throw my body into anxiety and massive fatigue to where I'd have to lay down. I didn't sleep at night. I wasn't nice to people. I was a super, I would say, devout Christian at the time. I believe differently, but the same as I've matured in my faith journey. But I was like, oh my gosh, you can't do anything wrong. God's going to punish you still kind of spiritual journey. And I was treating people like crap. So I was beating myself up because I wasn't being godly, and I say all those things because these are the things I've heard over and over again from especially moms who always want to do the right thing by their family and for their children, that just, innately in them. And I was doing the same thing at my level as a dude, a country dude who didn't know much. And it was rough on me. And I do remember, my faith did keep me alive because I had suicidal thoughts. But I did learn grace. I did learn not to judge people because you never where they're at, even on the day-to-day, hour-to-hour, how our moods can change based on our circumstances. And in the end, I did find answers, and I found out that it was likely heavy metal poisoning. There wasn't podcasts. There wasn't online.
Right.
It was the book by the guy that's now in jail, 50 ways to, cure your life. I forget his name.
He's in jail.
Yeah, he was in jail. He was just an online infomercial salesman.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he wound up being in jail. He took on the FTC and lost. Never take on the FTC. You're just not. It's not going to go well for you. If they tell you to stop doing something, you should probably stop. But it was like maybe one of your folks on your podcast can write in, but he had a book. It's like that was it. Just infomercials is where you got your health advice.
Yeah.
Even Jordan Rubin, who was one of the pioneers in educating a lot of people, especially in the Christian space, he just started getting, traction with his, he had not colitis, but he had another degenerative gut condition that made him extremely thin. He couldn't keep food down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that disorder. It'll come back to me. I just talked to another friend who survived it and reversed it naturally. Crohn's
Yeah.
disease. So here I am living in my parents' basement, leaving the river runs through it life of trout fishing and elk hunting and all the things I love to do in Montana. Sold my house, moved into my parents' basement. It's moldy. So I got even sicker, as you can imagine, from the mold. The biotoxic illness set in. Didn't have much of an immune system, already weakened, because toxins have a massive effect on your immune system. You can look that up all day long. They trigger autoimmune. As a matter of fact, based on, there's a study out there that says 70% of autoimmune is triggered by environmental issues, your food, diet, drugs, and environmental toxins.
Yeah.
30% are genetics, but let's talk about that for a second. What triggers genetics? Toxins,
Lifestyle.
traumas, right? Whiplash accidents, divorces, big moves, having babies, traumas, right? Can trigger these genes and make us sick. So,
I really like how you're really pinpointing, what brought you to the turning point in your life, really. But you're not just talking about the physical things. You're also talking about the emotional and the spiritual things that were compiling in your life that really made you as sick as you were. And so I really appreciate that, because I don't think that's talked about enough. How all of those emotional and spiritual things can affect us physically as well. So I really appreciate you bringing those up. So when you moved into your parents' basement, did you move there because you were sick?
Yeah, I sold my home in Montana.
Okay.
Actually made some money on it because I split my lot.
Yeah.
Pocketed, to me, this was it's a massive amount of money anyway, but I made $100,000 on that deal. Bought the home for, 120 and sold it for 220,000 of this little tiny yellow house with a green roof that me and my buddies put on, right? So I actually went into about another $100,000 in debt, looking for health answers. And I had great support from my parents. I mean, besides they were more medically minded, even though my mom went all natural to cure her or to not get cancer again.
Wow.
She definitely did a lot of detox. She did infrared sauna. I mean, I used to make fun of her, but she was my earliest teacher.
That's
because
amazing.
She was, even before cancer, she was doing Shackley, and she always, gardening and natural and all those things. And she decided not to do tamoxifen, which I think they still give out for breast cancer. I thought they would have taken that one off the market, but they don't. Science isn't really strong on that, or chemo. And so she had a lump. She lost over a whole lobe of her lung and another quarter of the other lung. So she had cancer in her lung, and then also breast cancer she had removed. And then she did all natural after that diet detox. And so, but they pushed me to the drug route, right? Because I was so sick and so suffering, and it was just like moms, like you see your kids suffering.
It's like something to help. Yeah.
Yeah. Just give them an antibiotic, whatever, right? Whatever we can do to help our baby. And as I know, having my own 3 girls, you don't want to see your kids suffer ever, to a fault, I think, because I think suffering is our best teacher. Pain, right, is our best teacher, So anyway, yeah. And I think the emotional, spiritual connection, as I'm turning 50 and kind of getting a better sense of how things work, I'm more connected to God and nature, and the energy stuff that I thought was woo-woo is true,
Right.
So much more today than I ever would have been open to 15 years ago even. So, these components, everything's energy, everything's light, and that's why love is so important, and connecting with humans. And the funny thing is, everyone thinks that I'm fear-mongering, but actually not. I'm truth-mongering, and I'm trying to get your attention. And if I get your attention, that's energy, right? You may say whatever you want. Energy's energy, and I'm getting your attention, and that's the point, is to grab attention, and then to build a community that can share love, right? That can share truth. And honestly, at the end of the day, based on where I'm at in my life, I don't care what choice you make, I hope you make the best choice for you and your family, but that choice is going to lead you somewhere, and it's going to put you on a path that's going to land you in a good place, because I believe the universe works for you, not against you. And I'm not going to stop that learning for you. I'll educate and do my part, but it's not until you get that learning or you have your own challenge or your own aha moment where the things I'm saying may make sense to you, because we all have blinders on, right? And those are built up through our belief structures and our BS, right? So that's that.
Yeah. So you said after all the medicine, after multiple doctors, you finally found some answers. What was that for you? What was the beginning of health for you?
I discovered that it was heavy metals, which makes sense because the abandoned mine cleanup side of things. And I started doing heavy metal detox. Obviously, I changed my diet to an anti-inflammatory diet. So we got rid of the high inflammatory seed oils, the sugars, inflammatory grains. And I can eat a little bit of grains now and I'm fine. But back then, anything that spiked insulin and glucose, which causes inflammation. I would just berries and just anti-inflammatory diet, meats and fats and vegetables and all the things, right? And so I did that. Started getting rid of the toxins, started noticing how environmental toxins were making me feel like crap. So if I was sleeping somewhere with new carpet, I noticed I didn't sleep, right? I noticed that I would get anxiety and heart palpitation. So, you rip the carpet out because I wound up buying a condo, a little 650 square foot condo, and I had to rip out all the carpets, living in dusty gypcrete floor, and I found that the HVAC was sucking because they don't have regulation where you have a tube, it's just stuck in a wall. So you're in a condo complex, you create negative pressure when the HVAC kicks on, it sucks air from your neighbor in the attic, and the dang insulation then wasn't formaldehyde free or VOC free for that matter. So you're breathing all this formaldehyde at elevated levels. I wanted measuring at my home. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So I had to go in and up in the attic and get clearance from the condos, but just going through all the issues and installing water filters and doing everything I could do to reduce my toxic load. And that was very
simple. Yeah. It was like the rehabbing your condo is kind of like what you were doing with your whole life.
Yeah, your first skin and your second skin, right?
Yeah.
And your home is supposed to protect your family. And I'm so adamant about that. I literally invested close to $1 million into a docuseries called Homesick Home, and we can put that in the show notes.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Yeah. So you've heard about that series that we put together?
I heard about it through your links. Yeah, I checked it out. Yep.
Yeah. So that's we're doing a full premiere like in LA, and we're gonna do it big and try to create awareness and get some star power behind it.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But when it comes to homes, people think, "Ooh, expensive," and I think, "Ooh, you're never gonna get healthy,"
Yeah.
So it's more important than the supplements that you're taking, and sometimes even the food that you're eating. If you're living in a moldy home, your chances of
overcoming that.
Yeah, it's rough. So, but that's what I did. I did all the things, worked really hard. I was an All-American athlete. So once I started getting some traction, and that's always the goal, is to get individuals to start getting traction in their health, starting to get a little bit of hope. Hope is a great currency, and it's hard to make decisions when you don't have it. When you feel hopeless, that's when you just said, and I get there. I get so burned out. I'm like, man, I just would love to just eat ice cream for the next 2 months and enjoy life, right? That would be so fun, because I can't get away with that stuff. Like if I eat a lot of beautiful sourdough, I'll look like a sourdough loaf, right? I can't go all in. I still have to watch my diet. I still have to be careful. It's a lot, right? Yeah. But now, as you get older, you have your kids. It's like, look, I want to be, that's why I'm exercising. It's not because I want to look great. It's because I want to be able to pick up my kids and run them upstairs without them hearing, "Daddy, your back hurts," one more time, right? So there's these different motivators in your life. Back then it was survival. Now it's for my family, right?
Yeah. I'm 43. I'm thinking about my grandkids already. Like, what do I want that to look like, Yeah.
That's a powerful motivator. It really is.
Absolutely. So when I watch your Instagram reels, you talk about so many different things. You talk about, kitchen products and home products and food and personal care. You talk about plastic and clothing, and there's so many things. Like, so is where you started where you would recommend someone else started? Because you can kind of get lost in all of the information and not know where to take a first step.
Yeah, I get this question a lot. And I have 4 different answers. It really depends on the individual at the end of the day. And sometimes, just letting people know that your health is worth it, your family's worth it, you're worth it, is really important for them to hear, because a lot of times we don't make decisions not because we don't want to or we can't afford to, is because we don't actually think we deserve it. We don't know what life would look like with the freedom that you could have if you make some of these decisions. And some of these things are addictive, like fragrances, as addictive as sugar in that ice cream, right? Because that can be addictive too. So there's there's chemical manipulation happening at the industrial level. There's that's happening in our food. It's happening in fragrances.
Yeah.
But in general, right? You want to look at your life of all the things you're using a lot, right? Your pans. Look at your kitchen, your salt, the things that you eat a lot of, your butter, whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis. I mean, if you're using seed oils, I'm like, come on, like that ship has sailed. I mean, there's, of course, it's been demonized, but there's safer seed oils and there's more dangerous seed oils. Like expeller pressed sunflower seed oil and a cracker isn't going to ruin your day. Now, if that's, rapeseed, canola oil, corn oil, well, that's going to ruin your day, right? Your body can't process that at all. It's going to take a year to get that crap out of your body, causing all sorts of inflammation. I'd rather see you eat ice cream all day than an industrial seed oil. So you got to look at the things you're doing on a daily basis, the things that you're eating a lot of, the devices that you use a lot of, and start cutting that back, right? You got to get rid of your plastic cutting board. 14 to 71 million microplastics released from one of those just from chopping carrots, let alone, something else, right? Or how sharp your knife is. But that's why these are easy switches you can make to lower the toxic load. And that's the overall goal. If you can get your body, there's no avoiding toxicity today. And every week we breathe in, even if you don't have a plastic cutting board, you're breathing in a credit card, right? Let alone eating another couple throughout, the week, right? So you're just chomping down credit cards worth of microplastics, which is going to be one of the new science on disease is going to be really linked to microplastics, because now there's testing and there's research happening around microplastics. There's blood tests now that are available for practitioners to start running on their clients to see how much their microplastic load is. So this is really critical. Increases your risk for heart disease, according to that recent study, 10 times. It's in our brains. It's in our genitalia. It's being lodged in every facet of our body and organs and tissues, causing inflammation, more inflammation, right? So why do we have to avoid stuff? There's stuff we can avoid. And your body stores stuff when it's overwhelmed. It's like when you're a parent, you got to clean up. You have stuff, kids, family coming over. You throw shit in closets because you're busy and it's a mess in there. But then, you have to clean up and get the stuff out. Your body wants to clean itself, but it also knows that if I let that stuff out, it's going to be a mess. So it uses its fat cells. And then people are overweight because of toxicity and hormone dysregulation. Then you lose weight and those fat cells are actually protecting you. And then you have the old toxic rebound effect, right? Because you're just causing more inflammation as you lose weight and you're doing the keto diet, and then you gain the weight back and then you feel like crap because you're retoxifying yourself. So it becomes insanity. So removing these toxins are critical. I'm trying to create that motivation that you need.
I think that's good advice. Like thinking about what you use a lot of, what you use every day. And like, once you kind of have like a mental list, or I would even do like a physical list, of ideas that come to mind, you can kind of prioritize that. Like what seems manageable for my first step, what can I like actually do? Like that's going to be motivating. And that's what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, one of the big ones, if you want a massive One of the most dangerous toxins in your home, I feel the most dangerous, that's besides mold, right, would be fragrances. It's a potent neurotoxin. It has a bunch of other endocrine disrupting compounds. There could be 200 plus other chemicals in there, including phthalates, which is probably one of the greatest disruptors of our hormones. These things are massive allergens, driving our kids. It's in our cosmetics. About 11% of the world is allergic to them. So they're causing skin condition and putting kids on Accutane, and let alone it's the fragrance that they don't have to disclose in the cosmetics because only 26 are regulated in cosmetics. They're putting it in all our lotions, and it's causing skin reactions, which little girls and moms and even some dads care about, right? And causing that inflammation, especially it's going to affect women and gals more. Men have testosterone, which has more anti-inflammatory, the higher levels you have of that, you can feel healthier and not necessarily feel like your kids or your wife. So, so fragrances are a big one to get out of your home. Anything that says fragrance, chemical fragrance, perfume, get rid of it out of everything. It can't be fragrance-free, right? What's the, you got to be careful because sometimes, what's the saying? Unscented versus fragrance-free, right? Unscented doesn't mean there's not fragrance in there. It could be a chemical to make it not smell, and it's still a fragrance.
That's interesting. Okay.
So, and then cosmetics, you really got to know, right? But if you want to make a big change for your kids, I need to do a more clear video on this since I just discovered the 26. I just did a video on allergies and skin and acne, and it was a nice deep dive, and I think it's going to be a great win for our community because they're going to share it with their friends because a lot of moms don't want to see their daughters on Accutane, but these kids, and I have friends that say this, I'd rather die than have skin like this, right? The motion is so strong in these teenagers. And I've done marketing research back in the day on weight loss and what people are willing to do. They'll poison themselves to lose weight because there's such a high level of emotion there because of this crappy
self-image and
mindset that the world may have when it surrounds what people should look like. So those are some big ones that I would look at. Get rid of the fragrances, filter your water, filter your air, get your house tested for mold. If you go through the Homesick Home program, we have a really inexpensive, novel way of testing your home through one of the top building biologists in the country, not a doctor, but Ryan Blazer, engineer.
That's awesome.
Works on, people fly him all over the country. He's one of the best in the business. So we partnered with him on this recent update. And so, get your house tested for mold. That's going to wreak havoc on your whole family, causing underlying, constant inflammation in your body as your body's trying to fight that off.
Yeah. Okay. Great recommendations. In your journey, what has been the hardest low tox aspect? The hardest thing that has been what has been the hardest to change? That's what I
mean, they've all had their challenges, right? Some of the hardest ones have been the hidden things that you didn't realize, right? That you're still doing and it's been plastics, right? Because I have one, but I still drink out of tin cans, right? Or aluminum cans, which have a plastic lining in them. So I'm exposing myself to tens of thousands of microplastics every time I drink out of one of those, knowingly. So it's really hard, and it's expensive to buy all glass. And guess what? When they're putting it on glass, they're using plastic. That stuff's, a lot of it's in stainless steel tubs and such, but some of the dispensing equipment still has plastic, right? Yeah. So you're still getting even in that. So the plastic thing's hard to avoid. And then you get into, especially with my kids, one of the hardest things has been clothing that's been made of plastic because, we homeschool. We're, a little bit, I'd say we're bougie crunchy, moving towards super crunchy would be our end game here on the farm. But my daughter still has a pair of Athleta pants, and I've shown her all the research. I saw her the lawsuits, the hormone dysregulation. We found much because of companies reaching out. It's been nice in my position to get to see that through Instagram. It's obviously going to feed me in the algorithm, a lot of this stuff, and these companies reach out now. But that's been tough, especially for my family. Easier for me because I just wear, everyone always asks me, what do you wear, like clothing line? I'm like, I forget. I find it's organic jeans and it's an organic shirt, and I wear the same thing every day. So I've simplified my life, and I don't wear shoes very often. So I'm barefoot a lot. So, I have organic wool toe socks. So I'm really simplifying my life, but it's been hard for my children and my wife because we had so much plastic. And I didn't realize how much plastic I still had in my life, right? And it's nuts. So removing the plastics have been tough for me.
Yeah. How many kids do you have? I
have 3 girls, just turning 3, 9, and 13.
Yeah. What do they think about all this low tox living?
They're on board with it, especially when it's their idea and when so the incremental persuasion. I mean, I think sometimes they feel like I'm taking fun things away from them. Mm-hmm. So it can be with my oldest, who's, our personalities are very similar. We want to figure it out on our own. We want to build the Legos ourselves, versus having someone build it for us, right? So she's very independent that way. So we rub a little bit, but she gets it. She loves it. She embraces it. She sees the contrast, right, in the world. And so she goes to tennis practice and she watches the kids. They're all on medications and how mean they are. And they watch the parents, because they're stressed out at work. We have a very unique, I'm not saying we're better than anyone else, but how we've designed our life specifically over the years by the grace that has been given to us to get around the right people so we can have a strong psychology, so that we can have the time to, and we still screw up as parents. It's one of the toxins that I feel like, when we talk about a toxin that I struggle with and I still beat myself up over, is not being the parent that I truly want to be. Like, how can I be so good with so many other people? And my wife has taught me this, and still fight with my daughter or not be sensitive to her, right? And get into emotion. It's like I'm a master, like with the neighbor that's screwing me over and still loving them, right? But it's when you have a similar personality, there's still that rub. You still want to hold on to control. One of my friends told me this, and this is kind of a deep spiritual. Jeff Hayes, he's a filmmaker. He's been through a lot over the years. And he's had a lot of children, a lot of marriages. It's very interesting. He's a good human, though. He's a very beautiful soul, and he's been a great teacher for me. And he said that this is his belief. I don't know if I necessarily believe, but I do see the wisdom in it. Is that, and this will bring many of you to tears, is that the wound, one of your things as a parent is you'll deliver the very wound that will transform your child. It'll be the very thing they need to overcome to make them a better human, right? And then when you think about that as a parent, I'm delivering the most painful thing into my child's life because we're so intimate, we're so close. And when you say that and you think about it, you're like, yeah, I am, right? And I do, because of my past, and we're trying our best, and we're still, as parents, delivering this toxic wound, even though we don't want to. But in the end, that will transform their life if we love them unconditionally, right? If we give them that space. And we do that well, right? Even though I'm probably still delivering that very thing that hurts the most in their life that will eventually make them great. So that's a big struggle for me in non-toxic living, which is part of my pillars, right? Of emotional toxicity. One of the pillars is emotional toxins. And, I think that's one of the hardest ones that I deal with to be able to remove from my life is some of the emotional toxins that that I'm still working through from the challenges that have been, the privilege that I've had to have the challenges that I've had that I'm still working through, but also just not delivering as minimal amount of emotional toxicity to these beautiful souls that we have the honor and privilege to raise.
Yeah. What advice would you give to parents that are getting a lot of pushback from their kids as they try to make healthy changes in their home?
You got to let them, it depends on their age, right? But as they get older, you want it to be their idea, right? And that's psychology. So you have to, send them, if they're on social media, our kids aren't, but I'll like watch videos with them and say, hey, watch this. And because it's cool, and it's on Instagram and they don't get to see it, I'm like, watch this video on plastic pants or whatever. And if they get to watch it and you walk away and you don't say anything about it, you're planting seeds, and that allows them to choose it so they can participate in it. So, and that's for all parenting, participation, and getting them, it's like, don't just make them do dishes, participate with them until they start doing dishes on their own. And so you want them to incorporate it because they choose it. And when you start forcing it, as you know, if you force something on me or if I force something on my wife, it's just going to piss her right off, right?
Yeah, not going to go well.
And most humans, unless you're really, really stinking evolved, you're going to unconsciously do the opposite, And so some people can take it. I'm a All-American athlete, and so I take, one of my gifts is taking direction well. So you can be harsh with me and I don't take it personally. I'm not going to I'm going to show you, I have a few of those areas in my life, but most people who haven't beat themselves up in athletics and been abused by coaches over the years, they have a hard time being told what to do. And your kids really haven't had that opportunity to create that skill. So you have to help them choose it. And you have to educate them, right?
Yeah. I think that's so powerful. Yeah. You're opening the door for communication, like, showing them a reel or just telling them about something you learned and asking what they think, like giving them the opportunity to talk about it and ask questions about it and, think through on their own what they want to believe about it, right? And so that they really have that buy-in. I think that's really powerful.
Yep. You got to get their buy-in. You have to get it they have to weigh in on the decision and feel and know that they have the power to make that decision. So, and it's working so far, it's working so far.
Yeah. So give me some examples of how lowering toxins has impacted your life and your family.
A lot, like early on, I had fibromyalgia. That went away, right? Early on, I stunk like crazy because my gut was destroyed and I was constipated. That went away, right? I couldn't think out of a wet paper bag. Like I was living completely in brain fog. Like, what did you just say? Kind of like that moment, every moment of the day, no recall, right? And that has gone away for the most part. Sometimes that can come back if lack of sleep or just like normal brain fog, but I lived in an absolute fog. So that's resolved. I couldn't sleep at all. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, can't get back to sleep. Now one of the big hacks that really made the difference in the last 3 years is doing electrical EMF hygiene in my room. So shutting down the electricity in my room has really calmed and helped, I think, my melatonin, and that's what the literature shows there. And the magnetic fields, all in electric fields being zero, both in my bedroom. I need to do a video on that. Different hacks I have in my room, besides like blocking out the light and looking at the sunset and some of the cool, fun things you can do to help with sleep regulation. But yes, for the most part, I got my nights back from lowering my toxic load, from supporting my body's detoxification pathways, and eating a clean anti-inflammatory diet. So those things have resolved. Interestingly enough, I just had my testosterone run again. So this is for the moms that have husbands with low T that their doctors are telling them to get on testosterone. I had 400 when I was like 26, right? Which is really, really low. Yeah. And 2 years ago, I just had it done and I had 800, right? And I haven't measured my testosterone. I just got off the blood work thing. Like I'm back on it now, but I'm like, I don't want to know, right? I just want to be healthy. I took so many supplements. I did so many things. I ran a ton of blood work back in the day. I ran every crazy test there was because we were training doctors for 18 years. So a lot of this stuff even I got for free, right? Both the functional testing and LabCorp, Quest, National Jewish Labs, all of it. I've run all the crazy testing. So I just got away from it. And it was just a couple of years ago, 800, some 400 to 800.
Wow.
All I've done is detox and just got my results. I'm at 590. And that's still good at 49. But some of the techniques I was doing was the red light on the genitalia and a little bit of DHEA cream on that previous results. I'm going back to that because 800 is better than, 600. And most teenagers now are lower than that, right?
Yeah.
Because of the microplastics, because of the plastic underwear, because of the food that they're eating, because of the nasty drinks and endocrine disruptors, because of the atrazine, because of the phthalates, because of all these things. If we think that our bodies can handle this toxic load, then we're all living in a Disney movie, and it's not true, right? I mean, it's very clear in the literature that these toxins are wreaking havoc on our children and our bodies, and you get the stuff out and your body does heal, right? It's designed to heal. You cut yourself, you heal, right? So a lot of those things have resolved for me.
Yeah. Where would you recommend busy parents go to keep learning about low tox living?
nontoxicdad.com. No. So I do have a book coming out. So within the next couple months, my wife's making me redo the cover because it looks like I can't show it. I don't know if my team will get mad at me, but it was I look like the toxic dad because I look all mean. I'm like, these darn toxins, right? My wife's like, that's not love and light. That's not your heart. You can't. And I'm like, you're right. That looks horrible. I want to be like a positive example of non-toxic living. It's a dark subject as it is. Yeah. So we do have that coming out. We have homesickhome.com. You can, there's value with EWG. There's value with websites like Mamavation. There's, Lead Safe Mama does some great work. Levels wise, we're a little bit different, but I still like her advocacy. She's been hurt and she's on a mission. So her energy is a bit different, but there's a good heart behind that. And she's holding companies accountable, but don't get freaked out, too freaked out because lead is everywhere. But you need to be careful, especially with your children. So I get a lot of that, but I do give her a lot of credit for fighting as hard as she's doing. So even though our perspectives might be a little bit different, and that's okay. So
when is your podcast launching?
What's that?
When's your podcast launching?
Oh, my podcast, right, is going to be probably in the new year. Really well done, 3-camera shoot. Like, we're investing a lot into that. As a matter of fact, I think I've done one promotion. I've made like $60 on Amazon because everyone says you're doing this just for views. I'm like, you don't know me very well. Like at this point in my life, I've been through enough. I've gained enough wisdom. I'm a grinder. I got grit. I can always make money. Like, that's not my concern in my life. My concern is impact. My concern is awareness, creating a movement. This is the spiritual energy that drives me. I've done one paid promotion, and that's it, right? So this is definitely something that I'm asking everyone here to be a part of this movement. I want non-toxic living to be bigger than keto, bigger than the paleo diet, bigger than vegan. Like, I want it to be bigger than all these other movements because it's something that we can all agree on. We can all agree that these toxins, whether you're vegan, carnivore, an environmentalist, crazy on the left, crazy on the right, we can all agree on this one thing. Toxins are robbing our bodies, right? They're that can see what we see. There's some people that are definitely in the medical model because that's a culture. It's a culture, right? But even there is some synchronicity. Like, they still see that, man, we can't eat like this, right? The tides are turning. Robert Kennedy, right? Jr. Like, he is, I really love where he's coming from, and he's not lying about the things that he's saying. And it's easy. People try to poke fun of him and all this. No, that guy has been through some crap, and he's learned and he's grown, just like many of you, out there. Like, it's crazy. It's like, look at your life. look at the mistakes that you're made. Are you still making those same mistakes? No, you learn from your mistakes. Yes, he's made some mistakes. He came from a lot of money and a lot of craziness. And I would have hated to have been raised how he was raised, right? In the limelight. I mean, being in politics is one of the hardest things that you could possibly ever choose to do. I think people are crazy for doing it, right? I mean, I don't want to be in that arena. I don't even choose politics. But I like when I feel good energy from someone, and I feel a lot of good energy from him. Like, I feel like he's doing a good job. And if he was left, right? And I don't care if he was left, if he was right, it doesn't matter. I'm looking for truth. I'm looking for real truth that you can back up, right? And he can, right? And so there's a lot of good that comes from that guy. And he's smart, and he still wants people to make their own choices and educate. So there's a lot of alignment there, and I've met him, he's spoken on our stage before, way back in the day. So I've been invited to, haven't seen him in years because I haven't had time, because my focus is my family, right? You can't do everything, moms. You have to focus. You have to make time for yourself. That's another toxin, right, in our lives, is that if your cup is empty, you're not going to be showing up for your kids. That's why you got to change your diet. That's, blah, blah, blah. So those are some of the places you can find me, but there's a lot of great educators out there. A lot of the people I partner with, there are just a lot of great influencers out there, and you can tell. Here's the advice I'll give you. When you're looking for an influencer, really feel in your gut. You can tell by the nonverbals, the looks, the tonality. Is they really have a heart in there? Are they doing it for the right reason? Are they just reading a script? Have they lived this crap, right? Or are they just good communicators, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't consider myself a great communicator. Why do you think I just started doing this? I did it because my friends challenged me to do it, because I was non-toxic dad, And they're like, I have friends that have been giving me stamps, Warren approves 15 years ago, right? And so, because I'm just really into this stuff, I enjoy it, right? I enjoy making better decisions for my health. Sorry, But so just follow that intuition when you're searching for someone that you want to follow, and really see if that congruency is there. And more importantly, do you hear that cry in their voice, that they really, really give a crap about humanity? And they're, of course, an evolved enough human that they're going to be sharing with you some great information that's wrapped in a pillow of love.
Yeah. I want to thank you for being with me. I feel like your vulnerability today has really helped me to get to know you. And I know the listeners feel the same, and really to feel the heart behind and the passion behind why you do what you do, and what we see on, social media and all the things. And it's inspiring, honestly, to hear your story and all that you went through. I mean, a lot of people give up. They wouldn't have fought as hard as you did to get healthy. And so that alone is inspiring, but now you're using that to help other people. And I really appreciate it for myself and on behalf of everyone listening.
Yeah. Well, you guys inspire me. I mean, I feel that my listeners, and probably your listeners, know more about non-toxic living than I do. Many times they're some of my greatest teachers, and I just happen to be in a place because of my life experience to be the guy that can be the mouthpiece and to help, get out there. And I've had so many people. It's hard doing what we do, right? What you do and what moms do. We all need people cheering us on. Mm-hmm. So thank you for cheering me on. It's everyone, and we all lift each other up, and that's really, really important. And know that God in this universe is working for you. And there's just, as we continue putting one foot against in front of the other, we have something special is happening in the world right now. And I could see you getting excited, and you feel it, and I feel it. And there's a change in collective consciousness. There's a move back to the ancient ways and to the native ways, if you will. And hearts are connecting across this world, and that energy is very, very powerful, especially that heart energy from mamas. Whoa, watch out, world. There's some beautiful things that are going to happen. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.